Hello everyone, this is Samyam, working as an assistant professor, Department of Zoology, Government Fast Grade College, Vijayanagar. In this video, I'll be explaining general characters and classification of protozoans. Protozoans are the primitive organisms in the animal kingdom. These are the very basic and the primitive organisms which comprises of the basic and the primitive characters. When we look into the general characters of protozoans, protozoans are small, generally microscopic organisms. We can't see through our naked eyes. We have to see these organisms with the help of microscope only. These are the simplest organisms, exhibits protoplasmic level body organization. Protoplasmic level body organization is nothing but a single cell is able to carry out all the process of an organism. So that is the protoplasmic grade of organization can be seen in case of protozoans. These are acellular animals without any tissues or organ systems. So body of the protozoans is usually naked or sometimes it will be provided with a pellicle. And in some of the protozoans like foraminiferans, we can see they have a hard exoskeleton like the shells. The body shape of the protozoans will be variable, that is, they'll be spherical, circular, elongated in their body shapes. With respect to the protoplasm of the protozoans, that will be divided into outer ectoplasm and inner endoplasm. Protozoans, they have the nucleus. Some of the protozoans will be having the uninucleus or the monomorphic nucleus, and some protozoans they do have dimorphic nucleus. Monomorphic nucleus is the one which is having single nucleus, whereas the dimorphic is the one which is having more than one nucleus. That is the two nucleus. The locomotion in case of the protozoan usually of different types. For example, the pseudopodias, flagella, cilia, and the myonyms are the types of locomotion that we can see in case of protozoans. With respect to the nutrition, they possess holophytic, holozoic, pinocytosis, saprozoic, and parasitic modes of nutrition can be seen in case of protozoans. With respect to the respiration, since these are the unicellular organisms, they don't have any respiratory structures. The respiration in case of protozoans will be carried through general body surface. Well, the life cycle of the protozoans, with respect to the reproduction, they possess both sexual and asexual modes of reproduction. Though they are the simple organism, primitive organisms, a sexual mode of reproduction happens by means of fission, nuclear fission. The organism grows in growth in size and that divides into two equal half as daughter cells. In case of the sexual mode of reproduction, that happens by means of conjugation. And with respect to the mode of living, protozoans they live solitary or in colonies. Either they live in groups or they live single. Along with that, some of the protozoans are parasitic in nature. They depend on the other host for their survival. So that comes into the parasitic protozoans. And some of the protozoans are seriously disease causing individuals are also there among protozoans. With respect to the classification of protozoa, the phylum Protozoa, firstly that will be subdivided into various subphylums. In that, the first subphylum Sarcomastygopora. Sarcomastygopores are the one which carries or which have pseudopodia and flagella as their locomotory structure. The subphylum Sarcomastygopora is divided into superclass Mastygopora. In that Mastygopora, we have two classes, that is Zoomastygopora and Phytomastygopora. Zoomastigoporans are the one, they don't have chromophores, they can't prepare their own food. They are the heterotrophs which depends on other organisms for their food and survival. Whereas the phytomastigoporans are the one which carries chromatophores. They can prepare their own food by making use of the sunlight, and these are the autotrophic in nature. Example is the euglena. Whereas the example for the zoomastigopora is the trichonympha. The next superclass is Opalinata. Opalinetas, here the organisms carry numerous ciliary-like structures in rows for their locomotion and feeding. So they don't have the cytostome. Here the nucleus in case of opalinates are single nucleus type. And most of the individual or the organisms which comes under Opalinata are parasitic in nature. Example for the superclass Opalinata is the Opalina. The next superclass is the Sarcodina. The Sarcodines are the one which are having pseudopodia as their locomotor structures. The sarcodines are further subdivided into various classes based on the shape of the pseudopodium, that is, the rhizopodium, pyroplasmia, and actinopodia. So, rhizopodians examples are the amoeba. Here, the pseudopodias are lobopodia like and philopodia like structures are there. So, those are rhizopodians. And the next one is the pyroplasmia. For pyroplasmia, example is the babesia. So, these are the small round amoeboid parasites of RBCs. Usually, these are the small spherical amoeba, small rod-shaped amoeboid organisms, and these are the parasites of RBCs, chordate RBCs. And the example is the babesia. And the last class is the actinopodum. Actinopods are the one which are having pseudopodia as axopods. So the shape of the pseudopodia is like acts, and here also the individuals are usually free living or sessile individuals are there. Um, and in case of these individual, reproduction happens both by means of both sexual and asexual modes. So the next subphylum is the Sporozoa. The subphylum Sporozoa has no any external organs for locomotion. Usually, these are parasitic in nature. They can't live outside the host body. They have ciliary or flagellates gametes, so that the gametes actually they can locomote for the fertilization process. In case of these sporozoa, the some of the individuals they have the sporozoid stages, and those are the infective stages. As I said, these are all parasitic in nature, and they have nucleuses of single type. Different classes are there in the sporozoans. In that, the first class one is the Telosporia. The Telosporia here they don't have the locomotor structures, and they have the gametes with the flagella, and reproduction happens both by sexual and asexual modes. Example is the Gregorine. The second class is the Toxoplasmium. So the Toxoplasmias are the one in which in these individuals the spores are not there. Even they don't have any flagella or the pseudopodia at any stage of their life. Reproduction usually in case of the taxoplasmia happens by means of binary fission. Here, the whatever the cyst that will be formed, that will be naked, naked sporozoites. Example are Sarcocystis. The next subphylum is the Nidosporum. So nidospores are Nidospores are also parasitic in nature. And here also we can see the sarcoplasm in case of the sporozoid. Some stages can be seen in nidospores even. So nidospores is further classified into two classes, that is Myxosporidia and Microsporidia. In case of the Myxosporidium, spores are of multicellular origin. Whatever the spores that will form, that will of those will be multicellular in their origin. And we can see there are more than there are one or more sporoplasm with two or three valves are there. And here also these are the parasites. Usually these individuals which comes under the myxosporidians are parasites of fishes. And the next one is the microsporidia. Here the microsporidial spores are unicellular in origin, and here, these are usually parasites of arthropods and invertebrates. Example is the nosema. So the next subphylum is the Celiopora. So in that Celiopores, the individuals which are having cilia as a locomotive structure, serially organelles as their locomotive structures, can be grouped under the Celioporans. And that the class one is the Ciliata. Example for the Ciliata is the Paramecium. So the ciliates, they have cilia as a locomotive structure, covering most parts of their body, so that helpful for locomotion. Usually, these individuals will be of having two nucleus. I mean, the dimorphic nucleus will be there, micro and the macronucleus. Here, the reproduction happens by means of fission and by means of conjugation. And they also have the mouth structure, which is provide the numerous cilia, so that will be helpful for their feeding. So here it is a skeleton of the classification. The subphylum Protozoa is subdivided into the subphylums Sarcomastacopora, Sporozoa, Nidospora, and Coleoptera. So the Sarcomastacopora is divided into three superclasses. There is Mastacopora, Opalanita, and Sarcodinum. Among the Mastacoporans, Phytomastacoporans, and Zoomastacoporans. Sarcodians are divided into Rhizopodia, Phasmia, and Actinopodia. Whereas sporozoans, we can see uh, three different classes of sporozoans, but here the two are mainly concentrated in this video. And the nidosporans have the two classes, and lastly the Coleopodia as the one class, that is cilia. Uh, One must be knowing the classification in case of the phylums up to classes. So these are the examples of the sporozoans, the mastocoporans, which are having flagella as a locomotor structure, euglena and the chlamydomonas. Whereas sarcodians have pseudopodia as a locomotor structures, the amoeba and the uh, arcilla. So the next ones are the plasmodium. Plasmodiums are the parasites of RBCs. Here we can see they have been in they're within the RBCs. Like Coleopora, having cilia as a locomotor structures, there's a paramecium and the verticellas. Okay, to summarize the whole thing, in this video we discussed general characters of protozoans. To summarize the whole thing, you have to remember the general characters of protozoans like first you have to concentrate on the habitat, then the shape, size, and the body organization of the individual, then the nucleus, and then the exoskeleton and the endoskeletal structures, then the nutrition, reproduction, respiration. This is how you need to write the general characters of any of the phylum for that matter. And later comes the classification. In that first, uh, among the phylum Protozoa, the divisions of subphylums are there, then the class superclasses are there, and the classes are there. So till now classes we need to write the classification along with the examples. So these are the references that I referred for this video. Thank you.